Welcome everyone to this webinar, September Viva's webinar, where your questions will be answered this evening. My name is Anita Delaney. I'm the head of exams from RACS, and everyone's going to introduce themselves. So I might pass over to Catherine.
Hi, I'm Kathy Ferguson. I'm an ear, nose and throat surgeon from Wellington, New Zealand, and I am the New Zealand Deputy Chair of the Court of Examiners.
Ben?
G'day, I'm Ben Scott, the Deputy Chair of RACSTA.
Ray?
I'm Ray Sachs. I'm an ear, nose and throat surgeon from Sydney, and I'm the current Chair of the Court of Examiners.
Anil?
Thanks, Anita. My name's Anil Kashava. I'm a colorectal surgeon from Sydney. I was previous senior examiner in general surgery, and I'm currently the one of the Australian deputy chairs for the Court of Examiners.
Paul?
Hi, I'm Paul Pincus. I'm an orthopaedic surgeon from Brisbane, and like Anil, I was the senior examiner in orthopaedics, and I'm one of the Australian deputy chairs. And it's
We just lost you there for a moment.
sorry. Want me to say again, Anita?
Oh, I think that's all right. We got the main part, I think. Thank you, Paul. And lastly, Mishi.
Good afternoon. My name is Mishi Jaganaklu. I am the examination manager for the fellowship examination.
Wonderful. Thank you all very much for attending as panelists, and thank you participants for coming along tonight. Before we start, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and community. We pay our respects to them and their cultures and to elders both past and present. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. All right, so this webinar is being recorded and will be uploaded by the end of the week and be available on the college website. We were very surprised that nobody sent in any questions at all. So what we've done is taken 4 questions which were basically, summarising the themes of the questions we had for the last Vivas, and we're going to go through those, and perhaps while we're listening, you can think of some more questions. And when you do, please put them in the chat and we'll answer them as we go. So maybe, Mishi, do you want to share the slide? Thank you. I might throw that over to Paul. Number 1.
Hi, so the first question is regarding masks. And it is difficult to often understand everything that's being said under a mask, but we feel at the moment, even though the things are settling down in Australia, that it's probably sensible for us to just continue with the use of masks during the exam. The only comment we would make is that some people do find masks and glasses difficult. And if you are finding masks and glasses difficult, then please feel free to ask us whether you can lower your mask to clear your glasses. That's not going to be an issue. But we think it's probably sensible. We're all going to be in rooms, smallish rooms together, for us to persist with masks. But please, if you think you're not being heard, or you think we might have misheard you, most importantly, please tell us.
That's great. Thank you, Paul. Question number 2, Catherine?
Yes. What happens if we get COVID just before the exam? Well, if the current regulations in Australia, you can return to work if you're unsymptomatic after 5 days. So if you haven't got symptoms and you've had COVID 5 days ago, then you can come to the exam. But if you get COVID just beforehand and are symptomatic, then unfortunately you can't attend.
Great, thank you, Catherine. And number 3, Anil?
Thanks, Anita. It's just, this was about when you'll be expected to get results for the exam. So they will be, you'll get a text message that you'll be able to log into your account, your RACS account, and it'll be there in your portfolio, and that'll probably be on the Monday, probably around 11. And the presentation to the court will be in the Shangri-La Hotel at 11:30. Just on the presentation, it's for those of you sitting, it's daunting to think about that, but it's something that you'll never forget. And I still remember when I passed and went and was had the presentation with the Court of Examiners, and it really is a important ceremony and something that you'll remember throughout your career.
Yep.
And I want to stress as well that Sydney traffic in Sydney is awful, and we have had situations where people have got their results and haven't made it to the ceremony. So really make every effort to be in the vicinity of the Shangri-La Hotel between 11 and 11:15, and keep checking your logins. But you will get an SMS as soon as the court finishes.
Thanks very much, Ray. And would you like to continue with question 4?
Yeah, well, just special consideration. Any special consideration can only be considered if it is submitted before the end of the final component of the examination. So, you know, if you submit a special consideration the next day, it's of no relevance whatsoever. We're not interested. We need to know any special consideration by the end of the last exam. That way we can act on it.
And just to emphasize, it's different with the writtens. With the writtens, you're able to submit any special consideration for up to 24 hours afterwards. But with the vivas, you have 1 hour after the end of the last segment. So please just remember that. And we don't have any questions yet in the chat. So are there any noteworthy things that you'd like to mention to the candidates?
Well, from my perspective, the examiners are really there to ensure the standard is met. They are not there to fail candidates. And I think it's really important that you listen to the questions carefully and that you answer what has been asked. No one presents to this exam thinking they're going to fail, and you just got to make sure that you show the examiners how good you are. Nothing would give me greater pleasure than to meet each and every one of you at 11:30 in the Shangri-La Hotel.
We've got a question from Michael.
Go ahead, please, Michael. Or maybe he's muted because he's a panel. Michael, would you mind putting it in the chat? Not quite sure what's happening here.
Oh, yeah. Michael's just asked, can family attend the ceremony?
Definitely, absolutely can. Bring as many of the family as you like.
Could I just add that the candidates, Michael, are brought in as they pass, and their names read out, and then you'll go into a large room, and all the examiners will be there, and Ray will give a short talk, and then all the family, as many as you like, are allowed to come in and join us all, and we encourage them. We love seeing family and grandparents and children in particular. So, but there is just a small separation while there's a small, only candidates initially will go into the room. I think that's correct, isn't it, Anita?
Yes, yes, that's right.
Yeah, there's a formal presentation of the successful candidates to the whole court. Yep.
We've got more panelists than questions.
Oh, Lana, would you like to type your message in the chat?
Sorry, your chat is disabled. Basically, I sat last time and I was given the results after 11:30. So there was actually, like, I couldn't, well, not that I passed anyway, but I couldn't actually get there before 11:30 anyway if I did pass. So I just wanted to make sure that we will get the results before 11:30 because ours was given at 11:45 last time round.
There was a little delay in the results, and we really apologise for that. We're trying very hard this time to get the results to you earlier.
Because last time actually people couldn't actually make it.
Yep.
And they missed it.
I suppose the other thing is you don't have to be at home to check your portfolio.
Yeah, but we were only given the results at 11:45.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we will, Lana, that's a very, very good point, and thank you for raising it. There were some issues last time, which we believe we have dealt with, and hopefully that will not reoccur. And that's why I made the point of checking your portfolio from 11 o'clock and being in the vicinity of the Shangri-La. But thank you for raising that.
Thank you.
I think it's also important to remember that there is a marathon. Is that right? There's a marathon on in Sydney at the same time. So traffic is going to be awful. The roads are going to be jammed. There won't be any parking. So probably I wouldn't go too far from the Shangri-La at that time on the Monday.
I think the marathon's on the Sunday.
Yeah, it wouldn't be on a Monday.
Monday.
Oh, it's not on the Monday?
No, I thought it was on the
no
Sunday.
problem with the Monday.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Scrap that.
And sorry, the chat is just disabled, so we can't actually put anything in the chat.
Thank you, Lana. Not quite sure what's happened there.
Can you check now?
Yeah, that seems to be working now.
Perfect.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Sorry, everybody.
And another thing that I want to stress in the Vivas is that if you see myself or Catherine or Anil or Paul or Anita observing the exam, it's not about observing the candidate. It's generally about observing the process and observing the examiners. So do not feel nervous at all if you have an observer from the college coming in there. We are there to ensure that the appropriate process is taking place. We are not examiners in that subject. In fact, I was an ex-OHS examiner, as was Kathy. We were both senior examiners in OHS, and we're not actually going to go and examine in the OHS exams. No. So it really is us about observing the process and the examiners. It's not about observing you.
Will there be space to store our belongings between exams at the venue? Yes, there will. And the Viva examiners, are they by our sides or facing us? They'll be by your side, actually.
I think that it
varies. Yeah.
It varies.
Yeah,
it varies from court to court.
I think
I've seen them side by side facing a computer, but then I suppose in the hospital Vivas are a bit different as well.
It does vary.
Yeah, they may be on the other side of the desk from you, or on one on each side.
It's just important for the candidates to make sure they're comfortable and that they can be heard and they can hear. So if you need to, reorganize the room, the examiners will not mind because they need to be able to hear and communicate effectively. So, but usually they're experienced and they'll set it up in a way that you can see a computer screen or whatever you need to for that exam and communicate.
So
Janice is asking, last time it was difficult to log in because the site kept timing out as everyone was trying to log in at the same time. Is that improved now? I'll answer that. Yes, it is.
I can answer the questions about 19s and 20s if you like, Anita.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a question, actually, Mishi, I'll just put it back up again. And it says, can you please explain, and it's from Maurizio Pacilli, can you please explain about the candidates that get 19 or 20 and how the decision is to pass or fail is made? So it's always a subject that the candidates are very interested in. So just to be clear, there's 7 sections in this exam, and each section is worth 3 marks. So a pass is a 21. So if you get 21, then you are presented to the court and you're passed because you've passed all sections. If you don't pass a section, then each of the individual subspecialty courts, of which there are 9, will discuss every candidate that gets 19 and 20. If you don't get, if you get 18 or less, then you've not been successful in this exam. You've not met the standard. But if you've got 19 or 20, you've been close. And so each of the subspecialty courts will discuss every aspect of that exam, and the rules of the subspecialty court are incredibly clear. And the rules are that the examiners can only support the candidates. They're not allowed to talk the candidates down. So if you've got a score of 20, then, and you have done quite well in some other sections, particularly if in the section that you haven't done as well in, say you failed a question in ENT exam on hearing loss, and that there's another section where you've been asked about hearing loss and you've done very well, then that court may decide that actually that person has really been pretty close to the mark and that they may be considered at the standard, because while they haven't passed every exam, they've passed 6 of the 7, and they've been able to account for it in other sections. If you've got 19, that means that you've got either a score of 1, which is well below the standard, or you've been well below the standard in 2 sections. You'll also be discussed by the subspecialty court, though it is difficult to get a pass from a score of 19, but not impossible, but it is difficult. Once those scores have then go to the full court, then the chairman of the senior examiner in each of the subspecialty courts will present those candidates that got 20 and those candidates that got 19. They'll be presented individually as a group, and then individually to the full court, and if there's something that's terribly controversial, then they're discussed at the full court as well. But the key issue is to understand is that this is about us, we as examiners, trying to give every candidate the opportunity to pass that they possibly can have, with a specific rule that no examiner is allowed to talk a candidate down. They're only allowed to be positive about the candidates, and to say, obviously, that examining pair that have said that candidate is below the standard has to present why they presented that. But other than that, it's all about positive talk to try to say that candidate could get over the line. I hope that's answered your question. Or Ray, did you have more to add to that?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct, Paul. Just a couple of things. Our scoring at the moment is 1, 2, 3, and 4 for each section. It's not 3 marks; it's 4 marks. So,
sorry, I apologise.
Yeah. So 1 falls well below the standard. 2 is below the standard. 3 is satisfactory, and 4 is outstanding. And then when each candidate individually, as Paul has explained, is presented to the full court, we call it a heat map, comes up, which covers every single marking point that you've received in all 7 sections of the exam from all the different examiners. So there'll be multiple marking points, and each marking point is coded a different color. So 1 is a red, a 2 is a yellow, a 3 is a light green, and a 4 is a very dark green. And so when you look at the heat map, you can actually see overall if the candidate has been satisfactory across the spectrum, or if they've been unsatisfactory in multiple sections. So it does give the full court an idea of of anybody's performance over the whole exam. But as Paul said, and it's very important that you understand this, no person is spoken down about at the full court of examiners. So examiners will only talk up a patient, never down. That's a law that we've had for many, many years. Anil, Kathy, would you add anything?
I think so. I think that's the heat map is often one of the key deciding factors. You have a look and they may have got a 19 with a lot of orange and a couple of reds, and so the feeling is no, that was below the standard, or vice versa.
And the senior examiners in each discipline go to a lot of trouble to look at each, have a blueprint of every area within that specialty, and that it's covered, and it's covered in multiple components of the entire examination process. So as Dr. Pincus was saying, that's how you can compensate a performance that wasn't quite to the standard in one exam or one viva in another area, in another exam, covering the same topic.
Great, thank you. Look, we've got another question here. Are the candidates meant to maintain eye contact with examiners if they are on each side?
Can I could maybe answer that one. Because the first time I observed a non-ENT exam was the first time I came across the candidate sitting between the two examiners, and at one point it did feel a little bit like a tennis match, with the poor old candidate's head kind of going like this. But I think often, most of the time the candidates are sitting in front of a computer, so they're really focused on the computer screen, and in general there'll be one of the examiners will be asking most of the questions. So you can maintain eye contact with that one person, and the other one might sort of throw in the odd question.
I'd agree with that, Kathy. Just talk to the examiner who's asking you the question at that point in time.
Thank you very much, Catherine. And now Liza has just said that we'll have sign-in sheets at each venue for each segment, and candidates will hand over their mobile phone, laptops, digital watches into envelopes with candidate names. This will then be returned to each candidate after the segment. And
there's usually a candidate sort of waiting room. So yes, if you had bags or those sorts of things, they could go in there.
Can we find out who the examiners are? I'm afraid not. You'll find that out on the day.
But I must stress on that point that certainly in the bigger courts, it's extremely rare for you to be examined more than once by the same examiner. However, that's not possible in some of the smaller courts, unfortunately. So, but in the bigger courts, in the 7 sections, you will have 14 examiners, because you'll have 2 in each section examining and marking independently, completely. And that's another absolute rule, is that the examiners mark independently, and those marks are then documented and written down before any discussion takes place. So you actually do get 14 sets of examiners in all the bigger courts, but in the smaller courts, unfortunately, not possible.
Could I just talk to that comment about not knowing who the examiners are? It's actually, I think this is my 14th year or so of being involved in the court. I've never seen and I've observed lots of the other courts. I've never seen an examiner try to trick a candidate. Doesn't matter who the examiners are. It's all very standardized now, and every examiner is on your side. As Ray said, the job of the examiner is not to fail the candidates. The job of the examiner is to pass the candidates. They're all on your side. They will all be rooting for you, wanting you to get over the line.
Yep, absolutely. And yes, there aren't trick questions. And I think the other thing is not to get tied up about some of the minutiae. What getting all wound up, is it, was it 15% or 20%? The key things that the examiners are after is basic information or essential information, and safe practice is probably the key thing.
I would agree with that completely.
So there haven't been any other questions for a little while now. We'll maybe wait for one more minute.
And go till 6:30 and see.
Or 2 minutes then.
Ben, do you want to add anything as the Raxter rep?
Nothing really to add. I just think this is a great opportunity for us to have an opportunity to bring our questions forward, and we all really appreciate your time. And I think you've all been very reassuring that this is going to be a fair process and one that we can all get through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any last comments maybe from any panel member?
I'll just reiterate that I really want to see you all at the Shangri-La at 11:30.
Yeah.
So best of luck to you all, and really listen to the questions, answer what's asked, and don't try and give an answer that you think the examiner wants to hear. Tell them what you've been trained to for the last number of years.
Yeah.
And do what you do. Kath, Paul, Anil, any further comments?
Yeah, just on the mask situation, we've held exams the last 18 months with candidates and examiners wearing masks, and in Melbourne from 2020 they were in N95 masks with face shields. So you can still communicate. It's now with the requirement for masks in this exam, you should bring a mask that is comfortable for you, that that fits you well, that you can wear with glasses if required. You don't have to use a mask that's given at the venue, and I don't think anyone is expecting N95 masks at any of the venues. So try and do everything to help yourself with that regard.
Yeah, good point.
My only point for about the exam, and I've said it to 1,000 candidates, is that in every time that you are speaking to one of your bosses, they always, and you're discussing the case, there's always a discussion of the answer at the end. And in this is an exam, not a training session. And you can see people say, but what's the answer? And you're not told the answer, and it is frustrating, but you just have to accept it, that this is an occasion where you'll discuss a case and you may not be told what the answer is at the end, but that's most of the cases. Virtually all the cases will be things you've all seen before. So you just have to don't let that worry you. That's just how the exam functions.
All right. Well, I think it's probably time to wish everybody well. Good luck to you all, and thank you everyone on the panel for tonight for your comments, explanations, and thank you Liza as well, one of our exams team, for commenting in the chat as well, and Mishi for setting this up.
Good luck everybody.
Yeah,
Yes.
good luck.
Okay.
Good luck everyone.
Bye.
See you soon.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Good luck. Bye.